All elections are historic, but some are more historic than others. After nearly a decade and a half of Conservative Party rule, the UK is poised for change, and for most in the country, it can't come soon enough.
The key to this election is twofold. Firstly, the Conservatives have been in power for 14 years and they presided over the Partygate scandal with Boris Johnson and the mini-budget with Liz Truss. There is a very strong mood in the country that it is time for a change. And the second thing is that we have an economy that isn't performing well.
The UK is currently living through a crisis, the likes of which it hasn't seen in years. The cost of living has made it much poorer. Soaring food prices have combined with high energy costs and meant many are struggling to make ends meet.
It's more about affordable housing, it's more about kind of standard of living for people, the cost of food. That's what people want to see. They want to see more affordable prices in their everyday life.
They're all as bad as one another. Sorry, but I'm just a bit disillusioned, to be quite honest with you. But, anyway.
Britain is also struggling with its identity. Immigration to the country has soared despite its vow to take back control in the wake of leaving the European Union. Images of illegal boat crossings have repeatedly dominated newspapers, and the Conservatives have failed to follow through on promises to control the number of people coming into Britain. Divisions over that have been exacerbated by other issues, including the conflict in Gaza and pro-Palestinian protests in London. At the heart of many of these issues facing people in the country, however, is their quality of life, and in particular government-provided services. The UK's famed National Health Service is on its knees, unable to adequately provide healthcare to the tens of millions that rely on it every year. And that could be key.
Labour traditionally has leads in policy areas such as the National Health Service, which is very important in the UK, education, and indeed public services more generally. And so I think what Labour will be saying is, if you vote Labour, we'll get these services, we'll make them better.
Questions also remain, however, about whether people trust Labour leader Keir Starmer. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's likability has further been questioned ever since he came into power. Meanwhile, there are also worries in the Conservative Party about people leaving it to vote for the more right-wing Reform Party, headed up by firebrand Nigel Farage. Opinion polls seem to indicate that the opposition Labour Party isn't just headed for a win, but likely a super majority in Parliament. The Conservatives, meanwhile, probably the lowest number of parliamentary seats since the invention of the motor car. Change may be hanging in the air here in Britain, but the overwhelming sense is of a country uncertain about where it's headed next. Joel Flynn, TRT World in London.